can I make money writing books and earn a living? And I think that's not going to work as well, because I think if your heart isn't in it, you're going to lose the fire. You're going to lose the power, the energy that's keeping you going. If you really want to make money, go into real estate or banking, right? Or investment banking, right? There is a whole lot of other places to make a whole lot of money, a lot more easily than writing books.
Hi friends, this is Read and Write with Natasha podcast. My name is Natasha Tynes and I'm an author and a journalist. In this channel, I talk about the writing life, review books, and interview authors. Hope you enjoy the journey. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Read and Write with Natasha. We have with us today Bradley Charbonneau, who has written 35 books. He spent 9 years thinking and dreaming and hoping and not writing much on his first book, then spent the next 9 years writing the next 34 books. He wants to save you those first 9 years by helping you write your first book. Wow, what an amazing bio, Bradley. So this is like one of the most fascinating bios I've read on my show. So Bradley, tell me, why 35 books and what are these 35 books about?
Yeah, so Natasha, it's so great to be here. And as we just talked about a little bit, we've been trying to connect for months and months. You have a popular show and I'm happy to be on here, and I'm glad we finally got it worked out today. So thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I did a video the other day. I said something like, I wasn't talking about writing. I was talking about basketball. And I said, there are people who play, there are people who don't play, and there are people who can't not play, right? So basketball, writing, whatever it is.
Okay.
And so I'm in the can't not write part. It's just, I'm going to do it no matter what. I have to do it. It's just like breathing or eating. And so, but before that first book, I was stuck. I was procrastinating. I was in perfectionism mode. I wanted it to be professional and the greatest book of all time. I had gigantic expectations. And so because I made it all so big and scary and fantastic and wonderful, this big goal, it was so big that I was scared to do it.
Okay.
And so I never started. And so that's why for 9 years, I dreamt about it. I talked about it. I pretended I was doing it. I hoped I would someday do it, but I didn't do it. I wasn't doing it.
What was the book about?
My first book was about a world trip I did together with my then girlfriend, now wife. We traveled around the world for a year. And so that book it's like a romance adventure story. And so, but I was so fixated on the idea of it being, perfect that I never did it. And it was frustrating and saddening. And I went through all the emotions, anger, guilt, regret, everything. It was awful. And then finally, I finally started writing.
And it took you how long to finish it after the 9 years?
So what finally started me was a friend of mine gave me a challenge. He was doing at the time, he did a 30-day writing challenge.
Okay.
And he says, okay, you have to write for 30 days. And he was doing these things with other things like whatever, wake up early or only, don't eat sugar or something. And so, but this month it was November 1st, 2012. I remember clearly because it was such a big day for me. And on that day, I started writing and I wrote for 30 days. And I really wasn't writing before. And so once I finally broke through the dam, I finally opened up the floodgates. And then, of course, as he knows, it wasn't so difficult. I was really just making it difficult for myself. It was all in my head that it was so difficult. It wasn't so difficult. I just thought it was going to be difficult. And I thought it needed to be perfect. And so once I started the 30 days, then I couldn't stop. And then I kept going. I wrote for 100 days. I wrote for 1,000 days. I wrote for finally 2,808 days in a row. It's like 7 years every day.
Oh, wow.
And so finally I broke open the gates, and that only happened thanks to this friend who pushed me to finally start. And so then the book started just flowing.
What's your writing routine? Like, how do you write so much in such little time?
So I think I had a lot to catch up on because I wasn't writing all those years. I was like holding it all in.
Okay.
And then it was the opposite. Then I was letting it all out. And I think you have to find, if you're like a morning person or a brunch or afternoon or night person, figure out when is your best, most efficient, effective time of the day and really focus on that. For me, it's morning. I wake up, meditation, and then creating, then writing. So that's the best time for me in the morning, every single morning.
Is that your full-time job?
That's an interesting question. In the writer's world, we all dream about the full-time job being an author.
Yeah.
I have been full-time. I recently took a part-time job.
Okay.
Because I wanted to, because I wanted a balance. Writing, the writer's world, if we're really just writers, then it can be very solitary.
Yeah.
It can be very just, we have our work, we have our laptops, we write our stories, we sell our books. And that's fine. But I didn't want that. It was actually it's weird. It's like be careful what you wish for. I was a full-time author, and pretty soon I realized, I don't want to be a full-time author. I don't want to be only writing. I want a balance, because I think writing is also, it's giving, it's pushing it out, and we need to take it in too. We need to hear the stories, just like, a car needs gasoline and then exhaust, or a sink as water come in and then there's a drain to let it out, right? Or our human bodies, we eat and then we, get rid of it. So we are similar, and we need input to give the output. And so, sure, I could be a full-time writer, but I choose not to be, because I want more input in my life through other things. And my job, my part-time job, 2 days a week, has nothing to do with writing, nothing to do with any of this stuff. It's just a totally different, sort of fun, different job.
Have you ever been a full-time author?
Yeah. For years, when I first moved to the Netherlands, I now live in the Netherlands. When I first moved here, I was full-time, and I loved it for many years.
Why did you move to the Netherlands?
Okay, this is very related, because I wanted to write, and it sounds weird, but there was a lot of dominoes that fell.
Okay.
And one was my father passed away in 2015.
Sorry to hear.
Thanks. In 2015. And when he passed away, this is maybe if you haven't had family that passed away or people close to you passed away. For me, it was really the first one, the first like really close. And it really freaked me out. And I really my thought was actually, wait a minute, we're all going to die someday. And it was so like childish or childlike. I thought, wait a minute, that means me too. Mm-hmm. And at that time, back in 2015, I wasn't writing the books. I was starting to write, but I wasn't doing the books. I wasn't being an author. I wasn't yet the person I wanted to be. And I felt stuck in where I was living, where I was working. I lived in San Francisco. I had my own sort of marketing company. And on the exterior, life seemed great. But inside, I wasn't yet living the life I wanted to live. I wanted to be a real writer, a real full-time writer, and I wasn't yet. So we moved out of San Francisco. I closed down my company, and we moved to the Netherlands. So my wife is Dutch, and so we moved to her country. And I really wanted my kids also to experience living in a different country. And so now we've been here for 7 years, and I've been writing for 7 years.
Do you think moving to a Scandinavian country that ranks really high on the happiness scale helped you achieve your dream and even financially as well? Yes. Because to sustain a lifestyle in, let's say, an expensive place as San Francisco as a writer might be really tough,
Exactly.
unless you have other means or unless you're Stephen King, for example. So how did you manage to sustain this dream life? Is it because you moved out of,
Yes.
an expensive city, or if you can just, especially San
No, but
Francisco.
It's a really
Yeah.
great question, because I see it like you could call it a sacrifice. I sacrifice, because people love San Francisco. It's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
And people ask me, wait a minute, you left San Francisco to live in the Netherlands? Are you crazy? And I thought, no. First of all, I love Europe and I love living here. So for me, that was easy. But also San Francisco it's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And so I could see it. You could call it I sacrificed living in very expensive San Francisco, where I have to make a lot of money, to living in a place where I don't need as much money, as a sacrifice. Me, I see it as priorities. The priority was bigger for me to be able to write. And I really wanted my kids to experience living in Europe. And my wife was good with living in Europe again. She's Dutch, right? But so it's the priorities. How can you balance your life so that you can, get part of it that you want and yet still do normal things like pay rent and mortgages and pay the bills. Mm-hmm. And so I like the idea of balance. And again, my goal is not to become a full-time author. I have been, but my goal is weirdly changed into, I love writing so much, but also when you're a full-time author, some of the beauty of the love of writing goes away if I've got to sell this book and I've got to make this much money, and it becomes more of a business.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's awesome. I do that too. But a little bit of the love and passion can go away if you have that financial pressure. So my dream scenario is I'm writing and I'm doing something probably different, and I, make money in both, and there's less pressure on both of them.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, okay, I want to go back. So you got the writing down.
Yeah.
What about the publishing? How did you publish your first book and the 35 other books, which I still do not know what they're about? We get to that later. I'm just curious. 35 books, like that, I have like 35 ideas. I can barely come with one idea. But so let's talk about, okay, so you did the challenge with your friends, 30 days, you finished the book. How did you publish it?
So the very first book I published was through a traditional publisher.
Ah, okay. How did you luck out for the first time? What was the first book about? Okay.
I think that was connections. I mean, brutally, honestly, I think that was somebody needed somebody, talked to me, found me, hey, great book, published you. It was like about San Francisco or something through a Dutch publisher. I remember this. It was a long time ago. And I had the Dutch connections. So weirdly, some sort of a connection thing. But that was the only traditional published book I've done.
Okay.
Ever since then, indie publishing for sure.
Self-publishing,
independent publishing.
On Amazon? On what? What did you use?
Wide. So everything. The Apple, Google, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Chirp. I do audiobooks as well. Findaway Voices, Audible, Storytel.
Oh, wow. So how do you print on demand? Do you use Amazon KDP or third-party publishers like, what is it called? The other one?
The new Book Vault is the new one.
And there's, which one? Book Vault? There's also Book Vault. There's Ingram Sparks and others. So how did you, on this podcast, we get technical because we just don't want to chat. We also want to help people. So
of course,
how did you what did you choose for each book, or did you keep experimenting? How did it work?
So I think the big question for new authors is, do you think you'll publish, one book and that's it forever and you're done, and you don't like technology or it scares you, or you just want to just do it and you don't want to deal with any of this stuff or marketing or publishing or any of that stuff? Because there are some very easy ways to do all of this. But if you're in it for the long term, like I am, then there are different ways to do it. So for example, the absolute easiest way, I think, is through draft to digital.
Okay.
And there's like a distributor, and you can publish to, I don't know, 34, I can't remember the number, a whole bunch of your book will be like everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Google Play, Apple, everything.
Okay.
And all you need to do is draft to digital. Draft to digital.com.
Digital, yeah.
That's all you need. So that's the easiest way. Like if I have a author client and they say, Bradley, just tell me the easiest way. I never want to deal with this stuff. I hate this stuff. Just make it happen. Then I'm probably going to use draft to digital. It's the simplest, easiest, one place to update your book, and that's it. And you're done.
Okay.
So I didn't do that because there's a lot of boring reasons, but it's kind of about control, but also about marketing.
Okay.
For example, going direct to Amazon, direct to Apple, direct. So I go direct to Amazon, direct to Apple, direct to Google, direct to Barnes & Noble, and direct to Kobo. So 6. So yes, I have to upload my book 6 different times to 6 different places.
And why is that? So you can control it. And how do you get it into Barnes & Noble? Do you actually go contact Barnes & Noble and tell them, hey, I have a self-published book, take it?
Yeah. Barnes & Noble has also a direct publishing department where an independent author can go direct to Barnes & Noble. I think you might need to have an address in the States for that. I'm not sure, but
okay.
I have an address in the States. I used to live in the States. So that's where also draft to digital again can take care of all this stuff for you, because then it doesn't matter where you live and you don't have to deal with any of that administrative junk.
But you have to pay them a lot of money, right? For them to...
Nope. Draft to digital, I think it's 10%. So it costs nothing. It can cost nothing, actually, to, it sounds crazy, but I say it because a lot of people don't know it. They think it costs all this money to do all this stuff. And sure, editors, book cover designers, proofreaders, of course, all that stuff can cost money.
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't have money, or you don't want to spend the money, or you're just not sure, you can do all this stuff at Draft to Digital. And it's all free. So Draft to Digital, it doesn't cost you anything until you sell a book. And then I think it's 10%. So let's say your book is $10. They will take $1. And then, well, it's not like you get 9. It depends on where it went, right? Did it go to Amazon? Well, then you get 70%. So now instead of getting $7, you would get 70% of $9. So whatever that is, 6 something. But it doesn't cost you any money up front to do any of this stuff.
Do you have access to the sales reports through Draft to Digital or no?
If in Draft to Digital you have sales reports, it's pretty cool. You can see countries and distributors, like what is selling where.
Okay.
There's also other tools. Like my favorite tool is called Scribe Count. And Scribe Count is a dashboard of your sales of all of these different places. So I only go to Scribe Count to see how I'm doing. I don't go to all these different sites all the time to check my sales. I just go to Scribe Count.
Okay. Why did you opt for doing it manually on all these channels?
Basically to save 10%.
Okay. Because
the Draft to Digital takes 10%, but then also because I'm real, and if I think I'm in this for the long game, right? I mean, I want to do this for decades.
Okay.
And so if I think 10% of a really long time and a lot of money is a lot, but there are also certain things that you can't do, like Amazon especially. Like I do a lot of Amazon ads, Amazon advertising, and you can't do that if you didn't publish directly with Amazon.
I see.
So examples like that, or Google Play, they have some promotions and marketing stuff that you can only do if you're direct in Google.
I see.
So, yeah.
Okay, I see. So, I have a lot of questions for you.
Sure. This is fun.
It's like free consulting. I'm going to milk it. So, what are your 35 books about?
they started in different areas. So bottom line, nonfiction, self-help, personal development, habits, rituals, happiness, stuff like that.
I love this stuff. Okay.
Great.
So like James Clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have self-help habits like how to beat procrastination,
Yes.
that stuff. Okay. Productivity, all of that.
Yeah.
And you're a living example of that because
Yeah.
you published so many books.
Yeah.
All right. So you have these books, and how are you marketing them? How are you, that is one for me personally. My biggest challenge is not writing the book. Writing the book is the easiest part.
I agree.
I used to dread writing the book, and oh my God, that's just the easiest part. The hardest part is selling the book.
Yeah.
And what I found out is many people, they would get really excited when you say I'm publishing a book, and they like and retweet and whatever. But when it comes to actually paying for the book, they don't do.
Yeah.
And so you cannot depend on your existing audience.
No.
Because many of them just clap and
that's funny. Yay.
Yeah.
Good job, Natasha. Good for you. High five.
I'm telling you from my experience.
I know. Believe me, I have it too.
And you would be surprised who would actually buy your book. They would be like the silent followers who don't say anything or whatever. And
You're right.
How do you market the book? I want to know the secret sauce. You say that you actually lived a full life of your writing. How is that possible?
The simple answer is that people aren't going to like this answer, but it's hard.
Okay.
It's a challenge. And the also difficult answer is that there's not one answer.
Okay.
And so, but if you really want one answer, for me, it's been Amazon ads, Amazon advertising.
Okay.
And Amazon advertising, I've taken, I think, 3 courses on how to do it. And I still feel like a beginner sometimes. And it is basically a part-time job being
Amazon ads.
Yeah.
Really?
If you let it be, and if you want to get good at it, and because it's not set it and forget it, right? It's not just make an ad and come back in a month and make lots of money.
It's not. Okay.
It's not. So it's monitoring, but also it's a little bit like you said, yay, you got the fans, rah, rah, go, yay, Natasha, fantastic job. But it's like you said, it's maybe the silent ones who are going to buy.
Yeah.
And so what's great about Amazon ads is that you can see right in there. They use the word 30-day habit. They typed into Amazon 30-day habit.
Okay.
Maybe they type in 30-day habit book. Okay.
Okay.
And then I can see, I'll just make up the numbers, but 1,000 people type in 30-day habit book. And so then let's just say 1,000 people see my book, a little ad. They see it. So it's an impression. By the way, you don't pay for impressions on Amazon, which is a big difference with Facebook. So 1,000 people saw my book. And just to be simple, let's say 100 people click on it. So 100 people click on my book, and now I'm learning. 1,000 people see it. That's probably a good word, 30-day habits book.
Okay.
100 people click, 1 out of 10, not too bad. And then of the 100 people who click, maybe 10 people buy the book. Okay. So another 10%. I'm making the numbers really simple just for our example here. But so now I can see 1,000 people see it, 100 people click, 10 people buy.
Okay.
So then also, so I could stop there, but as a nonfiction author, maybe I have some bonus content, or you hire me as a book marketing coach, or I have courses, I have consulting, whatever. Maybe I have that in the book. So maybe out of the 100 people, 1,000 see it, 100 click, 10 buy, and maybe 1 hires me as a coach or buys my course or something. right? And so in the Amazon world, the only thing I pay for here is the clicks. So I just paid 100 clicks times, for example, 31 cents. So I paid $31, but I also sold 10 books at whatever, $4.99.
Yeah.
So I didn't really make 50, but I made 70% of 50. So maybe I'm breaking even, right?
Yeah.
I paid 31 in ads, but I earned, I don't know, 35. But then if I'm breaking even, I'm already happy. I'm happy that 1,000 people saw my book, 100 people clicked on my book, 10 people bought it, and maybe one person hires me as a coach. Maybe they pay me $100 for an hour, or maybe they pay me $1,000 for a month. Great. I just spent $31.
I see.
But also what's important is the long term, I get to see what were the keywords they searched? 30-day habit book. So then I know, that keyword is doing 1,000, 110, 1. Great. What about a different keyword called, I don't know, morning routines happiness? I don't know. I'm making stuff up.
The morning miracle. The morning miracle.
Perfect. Yes. Yeah. The morning miracle. That's a real book, right?
I know.
Hal Elrod.
I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this stuff. So
yeah. Hal Elrod and Honoré Corder, right?
He self-published, by the way.
Yeah. And so so there's a perfect example. I could also, in Amazon ads, I could use the word miracle morning. Now, maybe if they type in miracle morning and they find Hal Elrod and Honoré Corder's book and they say, oh, that's interesting. But then they see my book under there called Every Single Day. Maybe they check my book out.
See.
And they say, oh, miracle morning. Oh, it's not really, I don't know about the morning. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, that's similar. Let me check him out.
And there's no copyright infringement if you use an actual title for your search?
Not in an ad. In an ad, I can do pretty much anything.
Okay.
But I could do Hal Elrod morning miracle. And then I'm really targeting people who are looking for Hal Elrod morning miracle. But later I might think, but if they type in Hal Elrod morning miracle, they probably want Hal Elrod's morning miracle book. So maybe on that one, I get 1,000 views, but I only get 50 clicks, 5 purchases, and nobody buys my course. So then I would think, oh, okay, that's not as good as the other one. And just for example's sake, let's say I have another keyword that is morning healthy happiness. And I have 1,000 views, 10 clicks, and no one buys my book. So then I think, well, that's not a very good keyword. Now I know though, and I'm going to turn that one off. Right. So that's where the maintenance comes in.
I see.
And checking and seeing, oh, that works well. That doesn't work so well. Hey, let's try this one. Right. Let's try morning.
Cause I put an Amazon ad. I don't even check it. I just put it. And then other day I just got a bill from Amazon ad and I was like, I still have this running. So now you encourage me to go and play around with it.
Yeah.
So I think the existential question here is it feasible? Is it sustainable to be a full-time writer if you want to geek out on the technology, if you want to geek out on the marketing tips and tricks, if you want to get into the weeds like what you're doing? Can you raise a family off this?
I think the answer is yes. But I think the bigger question is, are you doing this? So I have in my book, I talk about decisions from the head or the heart or the gut.
Both.
Yeah. But if the decision is purely head, so this is like mental and rational and brain power and logical, right? Heart is feeling and love and passion. And gut is more, I just feel it. I should just do this. Right. So maybe not so rational or logical. So I think if it's really just an intellectual question, can I make money writing books and earn a living? And I think that's not going to work as well, because I think if your heart isn't in it, you're going to lose the fire. You're going to lose the power, the energy that's keeping you going. If you really want to make money, go into real estate or banking, right? Or investment banking, right? There is a whole lot of other places to make a whole lot of money, a lot more easily than writing books.
Correct. But I'm not doing it for, like, I also love books. I love writing. I love, so I think I got the three things. I got the heart and the gut and the brain.
Awesome.
Okay. So I answered your question. So if that is that if I answered yes to it, are you saying yes because you're trying to be nice, or are you saying yes because that is the reality?
No, I'm saying yes, it's possible.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it's probable, right?
Oh, and what would make it not probable? What would be the stumbling blocks?
It would be kind of not knowing the industry, not doing your homework, right? Not listening to the audiences. Like, what are they looking for? What do they want? What are you, to find that, like, here's what I'm good at and here's what people want.
Okay.
And here's what I love doing. Can you find the overlap of what you're good at and what people want?
Okay. Okay.
And so, like, one of my books, it's called Decide.
Okay.
And it's about making decisions and how important it is to make a decision. Like in 2012, I decided to finally start writing.
Okay.
That was the most important part of any of this. I decided to do it.
Okay.
But this book, Decide, it's not very popular because it's difficult. It's not easy, right? It's if you say, I decide for the rest of this year, 2023, I decide to spend 1 hour a day on whatever, Amazon ads or book marketing or something. In my opinion, that is I didn't decide for 9 years of writing. I couldn't make a decision. And that it costs me energy all the time. I'm thinking about it. I'm wishing about it. I'm dreaming about it. I'm talking about it, but I'm not doing it.
Okay.
And finally, on November 1st, 2012, I decided I'm going to do this. And that, for me, was the difference.
What is your most popular book?
It's called Every Single Day. And it's kind of about this. I decided to write every single day. And I did it for 2,808 days, which is a crazy person. I'm a crazy person. But for example,
I love crazy.
Oh, good. So, for example, decide to write for 30 days. Decide to do Amazon ads for 30 days. And so that's where this book, Decide, but then every single day, and to make a real commitment. And then in 30 days, you can make another decision. This was the worst 30 days of my life. This was terrible. I hate this. I'm going to go work at a bank.
Oh, God, no.
Right?
No, please, no.
Yeah,
okay.
Anything but that. Please.
So looking at your website, I noticed that you also monetize not only by books, but you offer other services, right?
Yeah.
So I want to, which is, I think it's a very good balance and I do the same as well. I have client work, I have consulting in addition to that. And I think that somehow for me takes the pressure off.
Yes.
I want to just, and plus it's fun. It's fun to coach. It's fun to teach. It's fun. And it makes it less lonely, as you mentioned.
Yes, I completely agree.
So I want to ask about monetization. So you monetized by giving courses, correct?
Yeah.
So your courses are live or they're like self-paced?
I have both. Live is more fun. I prefer live. I like having groups. Groups is really fun. Okay. And I think they're a lot more effective for everybody. Okay.
And you have your podcast.
Yeah.
Do you monetize your podcast?
No, I'm terrible about it.
Okay. Because I interviewed somebody. I interviewed someone last week, and he lives on a boat. He's you love that. Okay. He's been living on a boat for years, and he writes his books from the boat, and he was using Starlink for the interview, right? Elon Musk Starlink,
Oh,
the
okay.
satellite,
Oh, fun. Oh, wow.
to have the live interview.
Yeah.
And he said that, he doesn't have to be a mortgage, but he has to make a living. He has to stop somewhere and buy grocery and, the boat maintenance and all of that. And he said he monetizes his podcast using Patreon. And he said a lot of and he lives off his writing and his podcast on a boat, and he fishes, and it's a fascinating story. I still need to edit it and put it on. So there is ways of doing that. And just the other day, I was contacted by someone who wants to advertise on the podcast.
Oh, cool.
So I think it's starting. But
yeah.
So these are some of the ideas, but I want to hear your ideas about monetization. So in addition to selling the books and using Amazon ads, how do you monetize your work?
So my favorite way is through, I have another book, of course, called Share.
Okay.
And the book Share, the boring word would be called like marketing or whatever. But I like the idea of share because, for example, I have a course, and my favorite course I'm offering right now, it's called Book in a Weekend.
Okay.
Now it sounds crazy, but the book we're going to write, the idea is actually it's the opposite book that you think you're supposed to write.
Okay.
And this kind of comes back to me and being stuck because I have this big, giant, crazy mountain of an idea, and I'm going to be stuck for a long time because it's such a big idea. So I want to take the opposite idea of that idea and make a little funny book in one weekend.
Okay.
It's like a parody, right? We're just making fun of my real idea.
Okay.
And the goal of this course program is for you to break through, just like I did on November 1st, 2012, to break through all of your fears and write this tiny little book for fun. Because then you're going to say, oh, that wasn't so hard. Now I can go write my real book. So monetization. Okay. So what I love is people who take the course, the Book in a Weekend course. Right now it's $97, right? I teach you in there absolutely everything you need to know to format, publish, write, share your book, right? All this stuff. It's all in there. And again, we're talking about this opposite book. So I just published a book. It's called Procrastinate. It's actually a joke. The whole book is a joke about getting it done and just do it and all that stuff. And so, and I literally wrote the book in 2 hours because it was so fun. In 2 hours. It's super short. It's like 32 pages or something. But I wanted to show, look how easy this is. Why is it easy? Because it's funny, because I'm making fun of something real. Because what's my real thing? It's like, do it, breakthrough, all my normal real stuff. And so I'm making a joke about the book. So it's easier for me. I'm taking away the pressure. Then I have my little funny book. So with this course, when you write your book in a weekend, what I will offer you is I will say, hey, when you share your book, your opposite book, when you share your book with people and they ask you, hey, wow, Samantha, I love your crazy book, your opposite book about your real book. That was so funny. And I can't believe you wrote a book in a weekend. Wow, how did you do that? That's amazing. I am going to give Samantha a commission, an affiliate commission, when she shares my program with anybody who asks her. Okay. So it's share. I give back to share. I want to share her success, but I want to share it financially. So it will make, again, with simple numbers. Let's say it's $100 program. Samantha, with a special affiliate link, of course, shares my program. She's like, hey, everybody, Bradley Charbonneau has this crazy program called Book in a Weekend. Here's the book I just did. It was so fun. And I got over my writer's block and my self-doubt and everything. And here's my crazy book. Ha, ha, ha. You also can take Bradley's program. Here's the link. Yeah. So it costs $100. I will pay Samantha $40. I will pay her 40% of the 100. I get 60, she gets 40. So not only did Samantha, is she having, hopefully Samantha had a great time writing her book, but I want to financially reward Samantha for sharing her story with whoever, with her people.
Okay.
So that for me is, I see it as win, 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 right? Because Samantha's friend wins because Samantha, her friend, recommended this thing. So that's a warm connection, right? Samantha tells her friend. Her friend says, well, I trust Samantha. And then Samantha trusts me because she took my course and she wrote a book out of it. And so Samantha's friend wins. Samantha wins because Samantha looks good and smart and also makes $40. And I win because I have a new student in my course. But even better, I have a friend of Samantha's and I didn't have to do anything. Samantha is the one who told her about my program.
So let's go back. How did you find Samantha? So how did Samantha find you? Like, I want to go back to the origin. How do you find the Samanthas, or how do the Samanthas find you?
Yeah.
I mean, do you use social media? Do you use newsletter? How do actually people find you in the first place?
One way, and honestly, I think this is my favorite way, and I think it's one of the best, is exactly doing what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Because
podcasting?
We're having two people having a real conversation, and we're real people. It's not just like a graphic on Instagram or something, right?
Yeah.
We're real people having a conversation about this thing. And if somebody's listening and says like, whoa, that Natasha had this crazy guy, Bradley, on her podcast, and he was talking about booking a weekend, and he said he was stuck for 9 years. I've been stuck for years. I would love to break through my fears and write a book in a weekend.
Okay.
So for example, Natasha, we can have a special link for you, right? Where you share this link and then also you are getting 40%, right?
Sure. Yeah. Give it to me.
Sure. But really, but this is
Give me 5
exactly,
links.
yeah. But this is exactly how I like the win-win-win, right? Because you have readers or listeners and readers and listeners and followers and viewers, and they've been watching you, or like you say, sometimes it's the quiet ones.
Yeah.
Who are the ones like, I've been listening to Natasha's show for a year and I really like her stuff. And she had this guy Bradley on and they talked about this book in a weekend thing. I want to check it out. Great.
Yeah.
So we'll have a link in your show notes that's special to you where you earn 40%. So that's the reason. So you asked about monetization. My favorite word of that monetization is invite, invitation. I am inviting you to join me in sharing this program, right? So notice the words I'm using. I'm not saying, Natasha, sell my program. No, I'm saying, I invite you, Natasha, to share my super crazy program with your audience.
I see.
Right? I try to make it welcoming and come on in. It's fun.
Okay. When it comes to social media, do you use it much to market yourself? And what has been the most successful way for you? Which channel?
YouTube. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Yesterday I had a short. It had 10,000 views yesterday. I don't know how. It was
on
crazy.
Instagram or what?
No, just YouTube.
Okay.
Just YouTube.
And what do you say on YouTube? I have to check it out.
It's a lot about my content. It's personal development, self-help. But I find on YouTube, what works is positive. So I'm motivation, inspiration. I'm in shorts. People like shorts, right? Like YouTube
I noticed.
Shorts.
Yeah.
15
YouTube
seconds,
shorts for me. Yeah, they
seconds.
work better. They work better than long form.
Yeah.
You don't put them on Instagram? You don't do Instagram?
Forget to do it.
Okay, your focus is interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah. Because usually people like put their all in, their attention on one channel, and you still do the others. But for me personally, lately I've been putting everything on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think although it's the hardest when it comes because a lot of work, but I enjoy it the most. I like
Yeah, I
this
agree.
conversation. It doesn't feel to me like work. This
No.
is fun. We're just having coffee at Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
And that is for me, that is why I like that format. And maybe the probably the ROI is the least of all of them, but it's just I learn a lot. I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I meet interesting people. So I don't know. I have to focus on
So
something.
you
that
asked
makes more
about social
money.
media. And
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking of podcasts. I was thinking of Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. Podcast
But
is not social media. Yeah,
you're right. But that's my favorite too. Podcast.
podcast it. Yeah.
Because it's exactly like you said. We're two people having a conversation. It's casual, but also powerful.
How often do you run your podcast?
Every week.
Every week. Do you do the editing yourself?
Yeah. I'm actually secretly a super techie guy.
Okay.
So yeah.
But I mean, I can do the editing. I used to do it, but it's just a lot of time. I mean, I did the math, and it would be cheaper for me to outsource it because I can use that hour or hour and a half to invest on learning Amazon ads, for example, or something like that. And plus, I have 3 young kids.
Oh, wow.
Actually, the youngest, his birthday's today. He's going to be
happy
6.
Birthday.
Yeah,
How
I'm
old?
going to go to 6.
Oh, fun years. Oh, exciting. That's great.
Yeah, so but it's fun. So you said, okay, so what you've been doing, are they also print or only digital books? The books.
So ebook, paperback,
okay.
hardcover, and audiobooks.
Okay. And the audio, do you record them yourself?
Because I'm a nonfiction author, yes.
Okay.
Like fiction authors should probably not record themselves, but nonfiction authors, because if we want to be our brand and, it's my story or whatever, it depends on your brand, but my brand, I want to be the voice of my brand. So yeah, I do
Which format is selling the most these days? Audiobooks? Because I had an audiobook.
This is interesting, but it's print.
Print still?
Yeah. And it's so weird because I'm not really a print guy. I like ebooks. Well, no, my real favorite is audiobooks.
Me too. My favorite is audiobooks.
Yeah. That's my first choice. For me, it's audio, ebook, print. So print is my last choice. But, but especially for nonfiction, people like having, they want to underline things. And so I get it.
So what are you working on now? What are your future plans?
So where I really am passionate about helping people save time and get over their fears.
Okay.
And so very much like Book in a Weekend.
Okay.
So Book in a Weekend, the program. And then, which is sort of a funny, silly book, right? Like a short, silly book. But I think that's important because then your real book, your next book, is going to be easier. Once you get the short, silly book done, your book number 2, and I don't care if you take book number 1 and throw it out the window, because it's really just a catalyst to help make book number 2 easier. So I like helping authorpreneurs, right? Like authors, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And usually coaches, because coaches usually have like a real message they want to share with the world, or a methodology or a system or something. And I want to help them write a book to boost their brand, to increase their experience of who they are. So I like helping entrepreneurs write a short nonfiction book to boost their brand. But my real goal, like you said, big is let's go to Italy for a week and work on your books. That's, and a group of, I don't know, 10 or 20 people.
Like a writing retreat.
Yeah. But it's not like I've been on writing retreats, and some of them are drink lots of wine, eat lots of pasta, go to the beach and get a massage, and oops, we forgot to write today, right?
I like that retreat.
Okay. Maybe we'll do some days, but I really want to have, we're going to get this thing done.
Okay.
Right. I'm a totally fun guy. I am like, I'm currently taking stand-up comedy classes. I'm doing improv comedy. I like theater and stage and speaking. I like having fun.
Okay.
But I like to say, we're going to have fun and we're going to get it done. Fun and done. Okay. They're both good, but I want to get it done. So it's not just drink wine, eat pasta, go to the beach and get a massage. We'll do that too, but we're going to get stuff done. And so my big dream is Italy for a week. Let's get your books done.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Do you offer scholarships for starving artists before they monetize?
Right. Sure. Yeah. Well, I also want to do, of course, with Corona, I did a lot online. And so, Zoom groups are fun too. But you can do some of my programs, do it yourself, your own pace, buy it, it's cheaper, and do it yourself. That's great. And if you're a go-getter and you're going to get it done, awesome. But the power of accountability and the power of a group doing it all at the same time and at the same pace and, this weekend or this week or this 3 weeks or whatever, then I think that power really helps you get it done. It really is the better together, the energy, building each other up. And you know what? It's just more fun.
Yeah.
It's just more fun together in a group. So ideally a group.
Where can people find you? If they want to, reach out to you, take your courses, all of that.
Yeah. The simplest, my brand is RePossible, RePossible.com, RePossible.com.
Okay.
And that came from the idea of, again, regarding possible or possible again and again and again. RePossible.
Oh, so it's the writing coaching. Okay. One-to-one nonfiction writing. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
And what about your website? How can they reach out, email you as well? They can go to website?
Yeah, they can find me on there, find me on repossible.com. My email address is bradley@repossible.com.
Cool. This is great.
Yeah.
Any final words before we conclude? We've been talking for an hour.
Really? Oh, yeah. Wow. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. My final words are just, you said from my bio, I spent 9 years dreaming and wishing and hoping and it wasn't a fun 9 years. No, I wasn't living the life I wanted to live. And I want to save that. I want to save some years from people's lives of misery and suffering and depression of not writing their book. And so I'm totally happy to help you with that real book, like the boost your brand with the book, like the real thing. But where my heart, we were talking about heart earlier and stuff. Like for me, it's book in a weekend. I really want to write a silly book in a weekend because I can almost guarantee you it's going to give you a breakthrough. And at the end of the weekend, on Sunday evening, you're going to say, I've got this. I'm ready. Let's go. I know what to do and I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, fascinating. Well, this has been amazing, Bradley. I had so much fun and I learned a lot. And I'm going to get in touch about that Italy retreat.
Awesome.
So for anyone who's watching this or listening to it, thank you for joining us for another episode of Read and Write with Natasha. And until we meet again.
Great. Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Read and Write with Natasha. I'm your host, Natasha Tynes. If today's episode inspired you in any way, please take the time to review the podcast. Remember to subscribe and share this podcast with fellow book lovers. Until next time, happy reading, happy writing.